Hey everybody, it's your old pal Guardian Enzo here with another Lost in Anime YouTube channel feature as we kick off the summer season in anime. I'm actually here to talk about manga. I realized I hadn't done an Enzo Loves Manga uh, video for quite a while, and the fact of the matter is there's so many manga I'm following. I could do any number of themes here. I could do a Shonen Jump video just to talk about some of the newer Shonen Jump series I'm following. But I wanted to focus on a series which I've come to really, really enjoy lately, and that's something called Hirayasumi. And Hirayasumi is a series by an author named Shinzou Keigo, who's had three works that have been serialized previously, and none of them have been licensed in English. Unfortunately, Hirayasumi has not yet been licensed in English either. I suspect this one might. We'll see. All three of his previous series have been in the short 1 to 4 volume range. So I sometimes, even when series are successful, as Hirayasumi is showing every sign of being, authors just tend to write short series. We'll see whether that proves to be true with Hirayasumi or not. But Hirayasumi specifically is, I would call this an absolutely a classic seinen manga and a classic slice of life manga. It even has elements of Yokohama Kadashi Kiko YKK, which to me is really uh, the ultimate seinen and the ultimate slice of life. This one is much more grounded in present modern day reality slice of life than that one, but there's something to the tone and there's something to the feel about it that puts me in mind of that. And this is a series that's got a lot of attention pretty much right from the get-go. It got a lot of positive buzz from other mangaka like Asano Inio, who's one of my favorites, and Masakazu Ishiguro, Reito Tajima, all kinds of interesting, and Matsumoto Taiyo, all kinds of interesting, successful mangaka have called this out for praise. It was nominated for the Manga Taishou already, even though it's only 3 volumes in now. I think it only might have even had 1 volume out when it was nominated for the Manga Taishou, 2 maximum, and it placed 3rd, which is very impressive. And it's been involved in several other awards and recognition from publishers associations and such. And it has a kind of an interesting backstory to it, which is that the author, Shinzou Keigo, he had cancer, and he's a young man. He's only about 34, I think now, something like that. Was in the hospital. This was during the pandemic as well. Knock on wood. No, I'm knocking on wood right now. He seems to have beaten it. While he was in the hospital board, he thought about his life. He thought about the things he enjoyed. And when he finally got released from the hospital and he was going home in his parents' car, he just started looking around and realizing how important it was to treasure the day-to-day minutia of our lives. And that really is Hirayasumi, and that in many senses is all great slice of life. It's treasuring that which is so-called mundane. That's what's ordinary in our daily lives. And as far as the series itself, first of all, the art is wonderful and very interesting, very unique. It's a story of 2 cousins, the older of which is a man named Hiroto, Ikuda Hiroto. He's about 30-ish, lives in Tokyo. Used to be an actor, a child actor, or a teen actor at least, and that has some interesting ramifications in the story. Now is living a very kind of a superficially boring life as an attendant in one of those fishing spots like you see the boys go to in Osumatsu-san, which I know the neighborhood where that is set very well, actually. It's near my former favorite ramen shop, and about 20 minutes walk from my house in Kagurazaka, my apartment when I lived in Tokyo. The other cousin is named Natsumi, Kobayashi Natsumi, and she's a freshman in college, and she's gone to Tokyo to be a mangaka, but she's attending art college. But her dream is to be a mangaka, and she's kind of a typically snarky, cynical 18-year-old. He's much more kind of settled and pacific in his life, smiles a lot. I think the dynamic between these two is very interesting. He's taken Natsumi into his house, and she's grateful, but she also looks down on him, and she feels bad for looking down on him, but she does look down on him because she doesn't really know him. And the dynamic between the two of them is really, really interesting. And let's talk about the house too. The house is important as well because he lives in an old house in Tokyo. And the reason he lives in an old house in Tokyo is because during his time there, he befriended an old lady named Wada-san, Hanai Wada. And when she passed away, she left him the house because he, as I said, befriended her. He was kind to her, and he communicated to her that he wasn't simply pitying her, he was actually enjoying being around her, which is something else that Natsume finds odd about him, that he liked spending time with this old woman. But again, complicated. You have to kind of read it to understand it. But so that dynamic is really interesting, and his life, knowing her, she made a big impact on him. Wada-san made a big impact on Hiroto. There are other characters involved here too. Most interestingly, his best friend Hideki, his childhood friend, really, who was with him in the film club in high school and such when he was doing acting. And so, but really, the main thrust of the story is Natsumi and Hiroto, and there's not a lot of earth-shattering consequence that happens here. But again, it's a slice of life story. And if you have an appetite for slice of life stories, this one is what I would call a pure slice of life, which is fitting given the story behind how he came up with the idea. It's fitting that he should write that sort of series. It's an appreciation for appreciation. It's a series about appreciating life and the small things in life and other people and food and our job, even if it's mundane, and the friends and the family that we take for granted, all the things we take for granted and shouldn't take for granted. And it's funny. Sometimes it's sad. There are some romance elements here for both the main characters, although at this point they're not prominent in the story, but they're present. Neither of the main characters is immune to the idea of romance. It's really just wonderful. It's wonderful in every sense of the word. It's one of my favorite manga. Certainly, I've started some good manga in the last 2 or 3 years, but since I would say the last 24 months, this is the best new manga going that I'm reading anyway. I think it's that good. I suspect it will probably win the Manga Taishou at some point. I would be surprised if it doesn't. It's published in Big Comic Spirits, which is a publication that has seen, first of all, it has a lot of the batting average for series at this publication is very high. A lot of series that are really good, and a lot of the series in Big Comic Spirits have gone on to get anime. And because it's Seinen, they don't tend to be series that have huge sales, but they've gotten anime stuff like Koiwa Ame Agari as an example. And my hope would be, since Hirayasumi has gotten more publicity in terms of buzz from other mangaka and big displays in bookshops, and it has pretty good sales for a young seinen manga, I think there's a real good chance that this is going to get an anime at some point. I think it could be a wonderful anime. I hope it gets one. Seinen make the best anime a lot of the time. That's my bias. I think this one would be absolutely wonderful. Whether it happens or not, I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm going to enjoy. Oh, Dance, 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 Sir, by the way, is another manga from this publication, Big Comic Spirits, just for the record. Uh, but I don't ever remember that series, which is much older, ever getting as much attention as Hirayasumi is currently getting. Chi Q, another series that won the Manga Taishou, I believe, and that is getting an anime that's coming up. So if it gets an anime, great. I think it will. If I was a betting man, I'm going to knock on wood again. Aoashi too. Yet another. I forgot Aoashi. How could I forget another manga from Big Comic Spirits? That one is exceptionally popular. So even if it doesn't, though, again, I always have this debate with manga that are not licensed. Should I or shouldn't I do shouldn't I do an Enzo Loves Manga on them? Because you're going to have to find alternative means to read them if that is your pleasure. I did, and I kind of hope you would. But I decided long ago, I've had this conversation with you guys in these videos before. I decided long ago that I wasn't going to exclude series because they weren't licensed. So my feeling on it is, even if you can't read it legally, I hope you at least read it. And I can't think you would possibly regret it. It's a wonderful series. It's slice of life the way slice of life was meant to be, and as such, uh, for fans of Yokohama Kadashi Kiko and that sort of series, I think you can't possibly go wrong with this one. It's really, truly, truly, in my opinion, as I say, the best manga going in the last couple of years. As usual, if you're in France, you're lucky enough to have a licensed version of that coming next year. I'm hoping it'll come to America. I'm hoping it'll come to anime. Whether it does or not, however you go about it, I hope you read it. Hirayasumi, Shinzou Keigo, and that's my topic for Enzo Loves Manga. Thank you, as always, for listening. I hope you guys are having a great summer, and I hope if you like the video, of course, I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll hit the like button. I hope you'll comment either here or in LA. Of course, if you know me, you know I love comments and I respond to them pretty religiously. So I look forward to the conversation. And again, I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. I thank you for reading. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Stay frosty.